And welcome back to Dark Side of the Ring, Unheard, the podcast from the hit Vice TV series that plumbs the depths of Dark Side's hours and hours of archival interviews with some of professional wrestling's most noted and least noted, its most loved and hated. Jack Encarnacio here from the Lapsed Fan Wrestling Podcast, joined by my co-host, JP Sorrow, and of course, Dark Side of the Ring, executive producer, co-creator.
Good to be back.
Thank you. Thank you, Evan.
Yes.
Of course, Dark Side of the Ring Season 6 resumes on Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Vice TV, where we're taking a look at the great superstar Billy Graham, who, of course, was a vain, tanned, hulking bodybuilder champion of the New York territory in the 1970s. Big personality, big physique to match, and ended up actually being one of wrestling's first cautionary tales around steroid use and overemphasis on body and physique. And in that spirit, our subject today on the latest episode of Unheard is Marcus Buff Bagwell, the former WCW star who in many ways, I guess you could say, kind of fits into that lineage of self-absorbed characters in the business. I mean, in a way that made him a lot of money, in a way that made a lot of sense for him, but who had equal difficulty in the way Billy Graham did, pivoting away from that skin and kind of dealing with the pain from a neck injury that he suffered on national television that was hugely traumatic for him and led to kind of a spiral after the closing of World Championship Wrestling. In some ways, Buff, in his own right, a cautionary tale. And Buff, of course, was featured, Evan, in Season 5.
Yeah, that's right.
Dark Side of the Ring. Yeah. What a wild life this guy has led. We'll get into all of it, of course, because there's plenty of gems from his extended sit-down with you guys.
Yeah, just to throw it out there, I mean, this episode, or doing a Buff Bagwell Dark Side of the Ring was something that I never thought we'd ever do for the show. You know, it's just, I mean, I wasn't a big fan growing up. Yes, I know, I am... part of the...
How could you not be a big fan of the guy who was Rookie of the Year like 3 years in a row?
Right.
Yeah. How does that work again?
I don't know. Only in wrestling.
It's probably in one of these magazines.
Oh, no,
Right. No, but it's just, I didn't know a lot about his story. Yeah. I mean, I am of the right age to have grown up in the, like at the peak of the WCW phenomenon. So, I was familiar. I probably played as him in the video games and everything. But I just didn't know much beyond that, like his story. So I could never quite visualize, like in our reenactment aesthetic, like a backlit fuzzy hat, I could never quite picture that.
The top hat, you mean?
Yeah, the top hat, the fuzzy top hat.
Abe Lincoln hat he wore for some reason.
Right. Didn't see
those
that in our...
kind of like big in the late 90s.
They were.
A lot of people wearing those in high school and stuff. And it was like, what are you doing?
Like Jinko jeans and kind of Juggalo-esque. But anyway, so... But cut to, whatever it was, a year and a half ago when we started working on the episode, oh my God, this story, and just, it was some of the wilder, more jaw-dropping anecdotes that have ever been on our show. And who would have thought this would be one of the crazier episodes of the show? But I'm so glad we did it because it's just riveting. It's a riveting roller coaster.
Yeah. Do you remember when his mother, Judy Bagwell, showed up in WCW? And
I remember her being on a pole, right? Wasn't she on a Judy Bagwell on a pole match? Listen,
yes.
that's the match of the century. Right there.
And by Judy Bagwell on a pole, we mean Judy Bagwell on a forklift.
Yes,
that's right.
That's neither here nor there.
Yes.
What thoughts on Buff? I mean, we've talked about him on Lapsed Fan over the years.
I can't stand him. I think he's one of the most annoying, like wrestling personas ever. I liked him as Marcus Alexander. Like in his early days. I thought he was enjoyable. I was a big fan of Stars and Stripes. I loved his
Patriot.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
As one of my, for some reason, one of the tag team championship matches that I remember all the time is them losing the titles to Pretty Wonderful at Halloween Havoc '94. Don't know why that one sticks out in my mind all the time, but I think about it.
Wow.
I think about it a lot for some reason when it comes to Bagwell. Like if I'm thinking about Bagwell, that's where my mind goes first. But
that's interesting.
And I remember him joining the NWO.
Yep.
Sure, me too.
But man, the moment that happened and he started looking at the camera all the time and like getting his face up in there, I'm just like, just fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Sounds like a heel to me, Evan.
It was
like
a little...
Buff Bag poorly.
Yeah, right. I mean, because he's kind of like... He reminded me of a lot of like the kids I hated in high school.
Yeah.
Like
we'll
with
get
the
to that.
gelled... The gelled front.
Yeah, the
kind of like
the gelled Caesar look he had.
Kind of like Fred Durst, energy a little bit,
Fascinating.
I don't know.
He's very of the late 90s.
Oh, totally.
His peak form is Buff Bagwell.
Yes.
And we'll get into where that comes from. It's interesting you mentioned high school, because this first clip is going to take us back to how Buff felt about himself. We talked about superstar Billy Graham and like the preoccupation with body and physique that became all the rage in wrestling through the 70s, particularly the 80s, when bodybuilding physiques, like if you didn't look like a bodybuilder, it was very hard to have a significant role and make significant money in the pro wrestling business. And so here, Buff talks to us about how obsessed he was with his physique in clip 1 here at an early age, and why, interestingly, that also meant cocaine just wasn't for him.
Oh, brother.
If he's looking to have a body, but rather the drug of choice, Dianabol. You'll hear him mention Dianabol, of course, a classic anabolic steroid.
I never met her. Is she nice?
We'll get to know her.
All right.
Used by bodybuilders across the world. So here's Buff taking us back to growing up Bagwell in high school.
Okay.
My whole world was about looking better, being bigger. I was all about having a great body at a very young age, because I was so skinny growing up. I was going to do anything it took to look better, and I dove into that and dedicated my life toward it, and it paid off. I was a very thin, skinny person. I remember wearing, in middle school, I wore long johns under my jeans.
In Atlanta?
Yeah, that's a little, I don't know about that. All right, let's go.
Through summer. I failed PE because I didn't want to dress out and let the kids see that I had long johns under my jeans. So that's how much it bothered me, psychology-wise, that my jeans were baggy or I was skinny. It made me feel like I was bigger by having those long johns under my jeans. So in the dead of summer, sweating, I had long johns on because it made me feel like I was bigger. So that's how much it played with my mind.
Can we just pause there quickly? Yeah, that's
Buff baggy jeans.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
We've talked a lot, about the psychology of steroid use, and you guys have looked at it.
Yeah.
We did the steroid trials episodes and everything, and here he is. I mean, as the episode well documents, and this we'll get to on this week's episode of Unheard, he grew up in very opulent circumstances. Buff's parents had a lot of money through a lumber business. His was the house to go to have the big blowout parties in high school.
Oh, God.
He looks like $1 million, yet all he can think about is that he doesn't have a Greek god physique.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that will be that's another prevalent theme in the Superstar Billy Graham episode too. His upbringing, not to get too into the weeds on it, but having a father who was abusive towards him and reduced him down to size, and it was like all he could think about growing up was being bigger, stronger, and more imposing, and having that physique to overcome, some psychological effect that was introduced to him at a very young age. So it is the same story. And of course, people who dream about being bigger and want to be bigger, they find themselves in this wacky business,
Very much so. Yeah, it's a place you can go. So
it's just, I personally, I guess because I'm the size that I am, and I've always kind of been this size, but I don't have a muscular physique, but I've just never understood that insecurity. Yeah. I'm not try to give anyone a hard time. Don't judgment on anyone who has that insecurity. Yeah. But the idea that it's just something that's so far beyond my mind, I cannot fathom. I mean, listen, if it's above 60 degrees, I'm wearing shorts.
I knew this was coming. Right? Long johns in the summer in Atlanta. Like, what the fuck? Just so he doesn't look.
Just like that. That's a level of vanity that is like.
Yeah, right.
That's why he made millions of dollars, because he had vanity.
There you go.
So let's continue on why cocaine isn't the recipe.
Brother.
All right, let's see how Buff gets out of this.
So you were like self-conscious. That was like your weakness, sort of, was the fact that you were skinny. That's the thing that you were so self-conscious about.
And that's Stu, by the way, who's one of our producers that is my heir apparent on the road and does a lot of the interviews in the more recent seasons. So this is Stu.
You heard from Stu last season on Unheard. Actually,
that's right. Yep. That's right. So shout out Stu.
I mean,
you're a kid that had everything.
That was maybe the only thing I had, because I was a good-looking kid. I knew I was a good-looking kid. Again, not cocky. I just knew I was a good-looking kid. I was rich. I was a great athlete. I just remember being very self-conscious, like overwhelmed with the skinny thing. And I was going to do whatever it took to get out of that.
So does that include performance-enhancing stuff?
Absolutely.
Wow.
That was absolutely.
Good follow-up, Stu.
Dianabol was a big deal out of the, from out of the gate was Dianabol. And that was the first enhancement drug that we took.
Was that hard to get?
You never forget
Very
your
easy
first.
to get.
Yeah.
Back then, it was you go to a doctor and get it prescribed legally. I remember my first cycle would have been probably I was a sophomore, so 85. I was probably 15 or 16.
Whoa.
And I was 145 pounds, and I went to a summer break, and I came back to school 175. I gained 30 pounds in 3 months.
Wow.
There's pros and cons to everything. And then again, if I hadn't done what I had done, I'd have missed that whole run with Buff Bagwell, man.
Yep.
Wow.
And he talked about how cocaine wasn't his drug
If
because
he
that made
didn't-
you skinny.
Wait, if he didn't do Diana Ball when he was 15, he would have missed out on Buff Bagwell like 10 years later.
Yeah, pretty much, because he wouldn't have had the body to get noticed by promoters in the first place.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, can
Right.
he wait till he was after high school maybe and like, then started
Well,
using
that's the
shit?
thing. I mean, that's where the wrestling business gets him from,
I guess
right?
that's true.
Yeah.
You do start early, right?
Well, he always had this, fixation on the body and the image.
Yeah.
And that got him into a lot of trouble because if you remember from the episode, he was very fixated on getting calf implants.
Yes.
Because even though he worked as hard as he did as much juice as he did, he couldn't get the calves to grow. So
my God.
he got calf implants that nearly fucking killed him.
Yeah.
Like he had to go to the hospital and his body rejected the calf implants. It's a big dramatic part of the episode.
And everyone
so.
remembers hearing that about at the time when it
Yeah.
went down. It was
Right.
just like, what a Buff story that is.
I know.
It's kind of funny that he has this, because you don't hear him talk about anything else. Like he's talking about his legs. It's all he talks about. It was his legs. It wasn't his arms, his shoulders, anything like that.
Just
He's
that
talking
one
about
part of the body.
his legs,
Yeah.
like that probably nobody's looking at.
Yeah.
Out of all the things, I mean, especially in wrestling, you hardly ever pay attention to the legs unless you're going for the
Well,
legs.
I think other swole people
Sure.
notice.
I'm sure.
Like nice
I'm sure.
calves, bro.
Very much so.
That's who notices it, not
much.
the regulars.
That's true. That's a
you
good
know?
point. That's
Yeah.
a good point.
But it was hardly a conventional upbringing for Buff. We need to keep this in mind. Here in clip 10, actually, we really get into the weeds on it because he had a temperamental father. We
Sure.
can say that as anybody who watched the Dark Side episode on his life and times was able to
God.
appreciate it. A dad who wasn't, who didn't hesitate to reach for a firearm,
Nope.
who
Nope.
believed in firearms being replete across the family
Yep.
manse in Atlanta.
It seemed like there was a firearm hidden in every room of the house growing up.
Exactly.
I heard too that when he was sleeping, his dad would actually put guns like surrounding his bed.
right,
in case.
First time anyone's called Buff a shooter,
Yeah.
as far as that goes. But
Snap.
the husband to Judy was Buff's father. You actually were able to track him down
Yeah.
and talk to him.
Yeah. There's a huge, story in the episode about where, Buff found himself in a situation, getting between his parents as they were arguing. Things turned violent.
Wow.
Buff ran and got a gun, pointed it at his dad, and his dad went and got a gun, and then Buff pulled the trigger first. Didn't kill his dad, because obviously he's in the episode, but that's just what a crazy...
I mean, that'd be a miracle if he did kill him and he was still in the episode.
Yeah, we would have led with that one.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this one would have been more about the dad than Buff,
The resurrection of...
if that was the case.
Buff
But,
Senior.
Daddy Bagwell.
Yeah.
so husband to Judy, who wrestling fans know, so think about that pairing. And
Oh,
here
God.
Buff talks about, because that's an incredibly dramatic story in and of itself, the shootout with his own dad. So there's only so much room in the episode for
Yes.
gun-toting hijinks, but we were able to find one more.
Sure.
His dad was really pissed off, I think, about losing a card game,
Yeah.
and it falls on Buff to, let's say, pick up the pieces. Here we go.
Okay, here we go. All right.
And so I'm asleep, and again, guns were very normal around the Bagwell house. And so I've got a .45 automatic hanging from my bed, my bed.
Oh, Jesus.
And with a clip in it, ready to go. And so all of a sudden I hear a machine gun going off, man. And so at the Bagwell house, nothing was, we were prepared for, the Russians to take over.
Oh, he better get re-prepared.
Yeah,
All
right.
Sorry. Okay. Ready? Here we go.
And the Bagwells was where you were going to go because we had all the guns, we had all the ammunition, we had the thought power. We were ready to go, and that's how we were raised. Is Murphy's Law. The worst thing that can possibly happen, could happen, and so we just were raised that way. And so I'm thinking, oh my God, somebody's robbing us. Somebody's trying to kill us. Well, I dove in, got my .45, I bridged it, put one in it. And by the time I get to the front door with my gun, it's my father's like Scarface on the top of this deck, and he shot a 40-shot clip into the pool.
Into the pool.
And he went, Dad? And I looked down, and there was a deck of cards that were ripped in half.
Oh.
He ripped a deck of cards in half.
Oh.
Try that one time if you want to. You'll be unsuccessful. But he did it. So he ripped that in half, and I guess he was still mad, so he emptied the clip. And it didn't hurt anything, except the next day when I got home from school, I had to go get the shellings out of the pool. I got home, and there was all these glitters in the pool. I go, what's in the pool? And Dad goes, go out there and get the net and get all the bullets out of the pool. So all the shells, 40 shells, and he made me count to make sure I got them all. So I had to go take him to him and show him that he had 40, because that's just the way my old man was. You know, he wanted to make sure he got them all out of there. Not one thing hit the concrete. All of them went in the pool, no damage, and he's Scarface.
That's hilarious.
It is.
Oh,
Is it hilarious?
I don't know if it's hilarious or.
I mean, I'll tell you, his dad watched Red Dawn way too many
Is that
times.
what it was?
Way too many times.
Yeah, totally. Let's see the finish here.
God.
Wait, look at this here. He's.
Look at his face.
That kind of tells the story.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, okay.
Say hello to my little friend.
Say hello
Perfect.
to my little friend.
He filled the pool with bullets. I mean, I've never even heard of someone shooting at a pool before.
Or
Well,
a deck of cards.
That's crazy. Yeah. And I actually remember because, again, there's so many crazy jaw-dropping stories in this episode. I think it's the most per minute in a Dark Side episode. And it was picking and choosing which one you're going to use for the episode. And I remember it coming down to this, but he also tells another story which made the cut where I think his dad, again, lost a bet or something happened, went upstairs, got the machine gun, and then just started shooting geese. Out of the back,
Oh my
out
God.
of the back deck, just mowing down geese with a fucking machine gun. So very unusual upbringing for Buff. You can only imagine growing up in that environment. Also, there were, if you remember from the episode, a lot of questionable boundaries.
Mhm.
That's all I'll say. So that definitely has an effect. I feel like on somebody. I mean, it has to on somebody's upbringing. This is just crazy.
Yeah. It's
I mean, when you think about too, that's your most, when you're absorbing pretty much everything around you, it's how you're absorbing. That's you. So much happens to you in your childhood, and to be around an environment like that, that is so volatile.
Yeah.
right to be being ready for the Rooskies to
Right,
show up
exactly.
at any minute.
Like the fact that you've got a gun. I mean, I didn't know that was. He's got a gun hanging above his bed.
Yeah. That's what was so great about this episode is people didn't know this about Buff's
No.
history necessarily unless they heard him talk about it. But
No.
you assume this guy just came out of just some
Right. Out of a-
test tube somewhere.
or
Yeah.
or a high school gym. It was
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah, beyond the fuzzy top hat. Yeah,
and Judy, what a character
that's
too.
his memoir
I mean,
right there. Beyond the fuzzy top.
The fact that his mom was ready to be in the wrestling business
I
from
know.
day one
I know.
too says so much about the nature of the family.
It's true. They're all just huge characters growing up in this wild environment. And from some people I've talked to, even talking to Jim Cornette about this episode, it's like him saying, well, this is a very Southern thing. Like a family, because they were very wealthy. They were known throughout the
They had
community.
a lumber business.
They had a lumber business, very successful. So they're living in like a palatial sort of, house, big house that everybody would party at, and money was no issue. Of course, they'd go bankrupt and had to rebuild at some point.
Yeah.
But it's kind of that sort of, Southern hick thing meets money, and you get kind of crazy, unpredictable shit like this.
I mean, also too, like I always think about how, psychologically speaking, you kind of you think of other you think in other people what you would basically do. You fear other people. Yeah. So it's like, to me, I think about the fact that they're worried about so much about people robbing them or something, that they've got all these guns. What did they do? Exactly. What would they do in their mind to it's like,
to counteract?
Jesus, to counteract.
Indeed,
what prompted that fear and that kind of paranoia?
Well, he would have to drop a lot of that when he got into the wrestling business, did Buff. The episode talks a lot about how Missy Hyatt, a famed manager from WCW, who we're going to be talking about later on this season of Unheard.
That's right.
Did a lot to kind of counsel him into the wrestling business. She was in WCW, or at least she knew
a lot,
people.
Huh? Really?
Well, within reason. They lived in the same Georgia apartment complex as he was trying to break into the business, and she gave him a lot of different advice on how to integrate into the WCW locker room, such as it was in the early 1990s. And Who Killed WCW, of course, the special you guys put together, there was a lot of talk about WCW after the NWO,
Right.
after Nitro. Buff and a lot of the guests actually on this season of Unheard are going to take us to what WCW was like before it blew up.
Right.
And that's important to know going into the next few clips we're going to play for you about Buff. It's kind of a theme. So he makes it to WCW. He's a young pretty boy character. People in the locker room assume he's all body and no go, right? He's all show, no go. And, sometimes your body, before it could be an asset of the business, it's kind of a liability because people assume the only reason you're getting a break is because you look like that and not because you actually have ability in the ring. So here in this clip number 2, Buff takes us back to, well, let's say a very famous professional wrestler who was in the WCW locker room at the time, who gave him a pretty tough time, and what form that took, and what advice Missy Hyatt gave him about how to handle this ribbing.
All right, let's take a look.
So, you're a pretty boy going into this, and you're young, and you got the body, like...
God, I can't believe you said it, man.
Such a pretty boy.
I was going to say
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, right.
Like, was there, is there heat there? Are you, like, bullied? Are you ribbed?
Oh yeah, I'm ribbed constantly.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, I'm ribbed.
I was such a good kid, and I knew from Missy's lessons and learnings that I needed to let the water run off my shoulders. It's something, you're always told in the pro wrestling world, don't sell it. If you sell something, even in life, people are going to stay on it. And so I just learned not to sell it. I mean, I swear to God, every TV taping for 6 months, maybe a year, Stone Cold dumped water on me. Ice cold water. Ice water on my head in the shower.
Why didn't he say that?
No, you should have. It was right there.
ice water in his head in the shower every day.
Oh my God. All right, let's...
You can picture. Yes,
you just picture that. You've seen him when he's really laughing and he just kind of leans back. You can see him doing that
with the Steve Austin hair.
Yeah, right.
The stunning Steve
which
hair.
is a total problem.
Yeah.
Right.
And every single time he did it, I walked out of the bathroom like this. And all of them waiting for like a reaction, and they never got it because I was taught by Missy to not sell it. Now inside, I'm fucking hot. I'm pissed off. But outside was...
Because Mark Bagwell doesn't like to be embarrassed.
I was humiliated and I was pissed, but I knew this was a different platform. And that's what got me over with the guys, though, because if I'd have been who the fuck did that? Who did... I would have been buried instantly, but I took it.
Yeah, and for the if anyone's listening to this who isn't a hardcore fan, of course, the concept of selling, in the wrestling business is, when someone does a move to you, you sell, the pain and the hurt, of that maneuver. But that term comes up a lot in a different context with wrestlers in terms of moments like this, when you're being embarrassed or when you're being threatened or, in any sort of other social situation, you don't sell the reaction, right? Don't sell it, And so, it's just what a fucking weird... that
it was Stone Cold, one of the biggest superstars the business has ever produced.
It's just so exhausting.
Yeah.
Like listening to the fact that these people have to have like so much going on in their brain at the same time.
Yeah.
Along with being in an industry that is so unpredictable and provides so much paranoia on its own, to have to add another layer of well, wait a minute, if they fuck with me, I can't give them the satisfaction.
Because it'll get so much worse.
Because it'll get worse. But in the meantime, he's got to think about how he's going to wrestle a match and, getting ready and all this kind of stuff and how to, break in on his own, make a name for himself. It's like, what absolute sick.
Yeah. And,
sick business.
And there's a lot of people who definitely, know that that's the code, if you will.
Right.
So they abuse that.
Yes.
And there is, hazing rituals, bullying, long documented history of that in the wrestling business. So, when someone knows, that protocol, they'll really exploit that to their sick advantage. And it's Yeah, we hear stories about it all the time.
We do.
So,
I mean, the end game is clear. We heard it on the Kim Wood episode earlier this season, right?
Right.
He's trying to drive Bill Kazmaier out of the territory and out of the business because he annoys him.
Yeah.
And he's going to create these scenarios that make it almost intolerable to be in the business.
I wish sometimes I had the balls to drive people away who annoyed me that much.
What a luxury.
Jesus, I know, right?
Well, it didn't work to Bagwell's case, to Bagwell's credit, I should say. And one of the reasons for that was he had a match against, well, someone who became quite infamous, but we have to talk about him, Chris Benoit. Okay, Chris Benoit, who, of course, will forever be known primarily for murdering his own wife and son. And there's a great, of course, Dark Side episode about that whole saga. So Benoit here is in WCW, and he is kind of a litmus test guy. He's such a wonderful in-ring performer. That's one thing you have to say about the guy.
Yeah.
And Buff, as kind of a wet behind the ears newcomer, gets in the ring with him on a WCW taping. Dusty Rhodes at the time, who was superstar Billy Graham's old Madison Square Garden opponent from the 70s, is now booking and running WCW. And they put this young Marcus Alexander Bagwell in the ring with Chris Benoit. And here, Buff in this clip, which is, let's see, it's going to be clip 2, takes us into earning respect inside the ring and kind of the the nature of winning over people who are skeptical.
It's not clip 2.
It's clip 3.
Pardon me, clip 3.
Yeah.
About your ability to withstand the rigors of the ring. And here, Buff actually, to hear him tell it, wins the respect of people who looked at him and thought, this is just a pretty boy.
All right, let's take a look.
And I remember us coming down at center stage, and I remember us coming down the hallway, and Dusty came busting out of his room, and he ripped his headset off, and he goes, "Bagwell." I go, "Yes, sir." He goes, "You didn't tell me you knew how to fucking wrestle."
Oh, should have led with that. Yeah. Oh my God. All right.
And I went, "Well, I thought you knew." He goes, "Oh my God." He storms into his office, and then we're all trying to figure out if I'm in trouble or not. And so about that time, all the boys, of course, were like, "Man, that was a really great match, guys. This he's not just a pretty kid. This kid, he may be able to wrestle here." So everybody's kind of, talking to me, and how'd you learn how to do that? And how old are you? And they're finally taking some interest in me. And then Van Vader goes, "You know what, Dusty, you should put him and Scorpio together. The black-white thing and all that." And they put us together, and we were tag team of the year and world champs that same year.
Do you think that some of that has to, obviously you could wrestle, but that showcase kind of moment, is that because you got to work with Chris Benoit? Like you hear guys that are new to the business, they have a match with Bret Hart, all of a sudden it's just like, oh my God, who is that? Because Bret can make you look like $1 million. Did Chris Benoit kind of, and I don't want to put too much about Chris Benoit in here, but do you think it helped, instead of having a 3-minute match with some guy, you got to actually go and have a match with a guy that can go?
I think it absolutely helped, but at the same time it helped because I delivered. In other words, I remember him clotheslining me. He had a left arm clothesline, and he told me he don't throw a clothesline right-handed, he throws it left. So again, that means the ability I got to have when I sell up to be able to sell that left arm without it looking stupid. It's got to look smooth and good. Well, I feed up for it, and he clotheslines, and Chris was shorter than me. He clotheslines me right in the face. And in the world of pro wrestling, that's called a receipt. So I'm selling during that clothesline. So you're selling, and you're waiting for that comeback to get your receipt in. Now, again, that showed maturity that I waited for that receipt, that I waited to throw that clothesline right back in the face during my comeback. So comeback came, block, punch, boom, boom, and whoom, right in the face, right back at him. And he, from that point on, was very light. So, it showed the boys that not only did I pull the match off, that I was also showed a little bit of spunk by getting my receipt back. Sure. From the Wolverine, Chris Benoit.
Yeah, that's huge in the ring. They're looking to see not only how you're going to react when they pour ice water on your head in the shower, they're looking to see how you react when someone pops you in the face for real during a match.
Right.
It's so psychotic.
It's how they weed out people that if we keep them in the business, they're going to be such a pain in the ass prima donna that they're going to bring down the entire atmosphere in the locker room.
I think of it like if you're in a corporate job and someone, you're just kind of typing away, and all of a sudden someone comes over and whacks you over the head with a keyboard, but you can't do it right away. You kind of just got to sit there for a little while. You got to keep on typing, and then like right after lunch, everyone's just kind of, everyone's defenses are kind of down, and all of a sudden, then you go and you whack them on the back of the head.
That's the receipt.
That's the receipt.
And it's also like, Marcus Bagwell coming into WCW, he was the masked stranger,
Yes. In global wrestling.
On global wrestling, so he comes in as this pretty boy, and he looks like a pretty boy. So he's a total mark for this. People are probably assuming, well, he's here because of his body, and he's here because of his appearances. There's no way he can work, and we're going to be able to haze this guy right out of the building. He's another one of these types of guys.
Right.
So it is for Buff's story to kind of overcome that is,
that's a triumph for him.
Yeah, it's a triumph. Yeah,
no doubt about that.
Clip 4 here is going to take us into, his body plus that respect he earned in the ring kind of catapults him into elite company at WCW at the time. Sting and Lex Luger were, of course, two of the biggest names in WCW, and they also ran a gym together in Atlanta called Main Event Fitness. And only kind of the top guys were let into the Main Event Fitness circle to hear Buff kind of explain it. Again, this is all pre-Nitro, when WCW was kind of a lot different in terms of who the big stars were. And so here he takes us kind of into an interesting place where Main Event Fitness kind of serves as like the nerve center for WCW fans in the Atlanta area, and Buff finds himself party to this scene, and also he starts getting a bit of the fringe benefits of becoming an ascendant star in WCW with a great body. Not only is he getting great workout tips from these guys like Luger, who knew how to sculpt the body like few others in the business, but also his partner in the American Males Tag Team, Scotty Riggs. He'll talk about Scotty here. Kind of gets brought along into the circle as well. So this is Buff now beginning to be accepted in World Championship Wrestling.
American males.
You got it.
Sorry. Okay, here we go.
But Main Event, man, just so many people in Marietta, Georgia have a huge, wonderful memory of Main Event Fitness because it was just the best. It was the best gym ever. And here it is, Lex Luger owned it, and Sting and him owned two of them. And there was one in Buford Highway and one in Marietta, but they sold the one and focused on Marietta. And then Sting broke off and moved to California. But when then it really dove in, and man, the fans would just be in the lobby just watching all their favorite wrestlers work out. It was just the coolest thing ever, And
as far as like working out at that gym with Lex and Sting, like it took and Scott Steiner, all of a sudden your body transforms too. Like you go from having a great body to having a body that's like theirs, right?
Right.
So are you learning shit from Lex and Sting and Scotty?
Oh, absolutely. Just the game really had upped. I mean, the game of bodies and being, having a great body just from Lex. Lex really helped me dial in a lot. I mean, he just knew things I didn't know with workout regiments and, reverse pyramid training, which is lifting your heaviest weight at an earlier time. It's just a whole new way I never trained before. So I learned volumes from Lex, and Scotty was just, Scotty was there with me. I introduced him to, Lex Luger and Sting, at a golf course on the 9th green, with chicken sandwiches coming out to us, and Scotty's like, what are we doing? I'm like having to almost cover his mouth, like, settle down, it's okay, because he was marking out, and so, but he learned, he understood and learned, and he was taken into the rent-a-car with the four guys, so it was a great learning time for all of us.
The chicken sandwich guy.
Hey,
right there on the golf course.
Hey, that's the ultimate draw right there.
Got your attention on that one. He said, you were invited into the rent-a-car, and that's how you learn in the business, right? You drive from town to town in a rent-a-car.
Oh, yeah.
And if you can get in the right car with the right stars, you'll start getting a lot of knowledge through osmosis that can help you navigate the business. And so there's Buff Bagwell now established. We'll go to clip 5 next because I think this is important to remember, especially in that pre-Nitro era. As much as he feels like he's succeeding in WCW, which of course was owned by Turner Home Entertainment, Ted Turner, that whole corporate structure. The other units of Turner did not necessarily think those wrestlers were part of the same corporate elite that they were.
No.
So he spends a little bit too much time on the golf course here, maybe. In clip 5, he'll tell us about what happens when you tell your fellow Turner higher-ups there on the 9th green that actually what you do for the company is wrestle.
Oh,
brother.
Sorry. Okay, let's find out.
Is your life changing at that instant?
Yeah, but not drastically. I mean, this is pre-Nitro, so nobody really knew WCW. Everybody knew WWF. So like on a golf course somewhere, I'd be playing golf with Sting, and they'd be like, "What do you guys do?" We're like, we work for Turner. And then a couple holes later, what do you do for Turner? We're in the entertainment department.
Yes, you are.
We're wrestlers. We just didn't do that. And then finally, by the time at the end of the 18th hole, like, what do you do? We wrestle. And they're like, oh, like WWF? So everybody knew WWF, but they didn't know WCW. And that pissed us off, man. We hated it. We and they'd be like, oh, you mean that fake stuff?
Yes.
And I'm like, you see that Mercedes out there? Does that look fake to you?
He's pissed.
So it was, we hated doing that, but we felt so bad. They made us feel like we're in something fake. I'm like, this ain't fake to us, brother. It's real to us. So it was a really big thing that we didn't get notarized like we did. So it was wonderful.
Notarized. Stamped and sealed and
signed
and delivered.
To see that when Nitro happened.
Yeah, Nitro changed everything.
God.
But
It's
we talk
absolutely
about that
amazing.
all the time.
Oh, we do. The absolute disgrace of the of the Turner folk are like, oh shit.
The disdain.
Well, what? Do we have to have that? Can someone please talk to Ted? Can someone please talk to Ted? We got to get rid of this shit.
Yeah.
It is an embarrassment, and it keeps us from getting where we should be
Exactly.
as a network.
Exactly. Because, it's not real, unlike the other units of Turner, which
Right.
produced fiction all day long.
Yeah, exactly.
This fiction is a huge problem.
It's a huge no-no.
And they ran action movie blocks. And what else do they have? Like Walker, Texas Ranger?
Sure. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Gilligan's Island reruns
Right.
for
It's
like up the wazoo.
That's what we needed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, in Who Killed WCW, it's like they become the corporate darlings for just a minute because they're the biggest show on cable.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, that wasn't always the case.
No, it wasn't. And that's what that whole series is about how, the real enemy was within at Turner and WCW in terms of, this is just something that everybody else in the company but Ted, did not want. And they were going to try and kind of sabotage this as much as they could.
Yeah.
Especially the second it stopped being profitable or the second it stopped being, it was kind of never profitable, but the second that it was, the writing was on the wall, they were like, all right, here's all the excuses we need to tear it down.
Yep, and that's right. And that's a buff who's coming up before those people had necessarily the cable success to point to justify the continuing to keep WCW on the corporate books. Just a totally different animal than the way WWF was structured and operated at the time. But Nitro does happen, and of course, Marcus Alexander Bagwell, the Rookie of the Year, hard-fighting, clean-cut Georgia boy, becomes Buff Bagwell. He turns on Scotty Riggs.
Yep.
He joins the NWO in late 1996 and becomes Buff. And
it was when they had that membership drive, right? Is that when?
Well, they were saying you have to declare your allegiance.
Right, right. And because I remember him being one of the earlier ones who kind of like didn't. It wasn't a big turning moment. It was kind of like he just kind of like walked in. More or less. I know he turned on Scotty Riggs, but it was like it wasn't like this big crazy surprise. It was almost kind of like kind of blasé and
But he was early, right?
Yeah, it was like 96.
I think it was 96.
November 96.
So this is really the year one of NWO.
Yeah.
He's a member,
right?
And because I remember he was NWO in the first N64 game as well as a playable NWO character. So he definitely was early on. So it's kind of interesting that they went with him above so many others. To be
it kind of showed that they had, they saw upside in the guy.
Sure.
For sure, to put him in the NWO at that point in that circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
So as he develops as the heel Buff Bagwell, he gets his mom Judy involved, and they do a scene where one time he even talks to you guys about how to get her actually mad so she would show the real fire on camera. He said, everyone knows I pay the bills, and the only reason anybody can eat in this family is because of me.
Wow.
And that he knew that would burn her ass because it was
true.
Yes.
True. Right.
Yes.
Right.
They did not have all the money at that point that they used to have.
As evidence in the Buff Bagwell episode of Dark Side, you learn that as soon as Buff is making money and he's this wrestling business is becoming lucrative, and his family business that Judy's was managing kind of went under, and that they had money problems. He hired his family to essentially work for him, to book his travel, do assistant type work. So It's so that is true, and that's what would get her, to be pissed in the ring. I don't know. Is this where I'm telling the story about her, or are we gonna play?
I'm leaving it wide open. Go right ahead.
Okay.
Tell the story.
Okay. Well, it's just that, again, as I said at the beginning of this, like, there are so many unbelievable jaw-dropping stories, and a lot of them centered around Judy. And you have to pick and choose which one you're going to do.
Of course.
Because
she was something else.
She was something else. And there's so many stories that others, Mark Slick Johnson in the episode, the WCW referee, oh my God.
He was Buff's childhood friend.
His stories that we have, we could almost do it Unheard with him.
Yeah.
The stories are so unbelievable. But he told so many crazy Judy stories because he obviously grew up, around the whole family. And we had to pick and choose like which one we were going to put in the episode, because we also didn't want it to be, because obviously by the end of the episode, it's very sad when she passes away, and it's his mom, and,
Sure.
and we didn't want to put too many wackiness that people shared in this, because it could I don't know, it might not reflect that well on Judy. But there's one story that Slick told about growing up, and I think it was right when Marcus was about his first marriage, because he was married 3 times before he was 30, which is also insane.
I didn't know that.
But on the first marriage to Tanya, I believe, he had a bachelor party, and part of the rib that was going on during the bachelor party is Judy came out scantily clad during the bachelor
Any thoughts,
party.
JP? Any thoughts?
And I'll just leave it there, but things got a little freaky deaky, shall we say.
Can you imagine?
Judith.
With
Can you imagine?
Judith.
Yeah.
She did it again.
taking out body parts and doing
Taking
weird
out-
things
it's
with
like-
them. But yes.
Taking them out.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God, help us.
Flopping
Yes.
on tables and shit.
Lord,
So,
forgive me.
as I was saying, the
Rest in
boundaries.
peace, Judith.
Yeah, there's some gray area there with the boundaries in that family. But
What a story.
But I just,
There's a reason the episode's called Buff and the Bagwells. Because
it's true.
Yeah.
No, it is. That is why.
Yeah.
Because it is also about the family and how crazy they all were.
Yeah.
And but yeah, you can only put so many Judy stories in. So anyway, take it away. Where are we going with
Well,
now?
we'll transition now to Buff Bagwell's very unfortunate 1998 neck injury.
Yeah, that's right.
On a live edition of WCW Thunder, he takes a bulldog off the top rope from Rick Steiner and kind of falls into Steiner's already felled body and snaps his neck backwards and is paralyzed in the ring.
It's crazy.
And it was thought to end his career for sure. And it was live on television, so everybody who saw that vividly remembers it. And there's a lot of aftermath that the episode gets into about that injury in 1998. But here he talks to us, this is clip 6, about what it was like being in the hospital afterwards. And Rick Steiner, the person who did the move to him, coming to visit him.
Oh, right.
And how amazingly, despite the fact that he was able to come back when people thought his career was over, they still squandered the entire thing by not making him this super babyface that conquered a paralysis.
Oh, wow.
Immediately turned him heel.
Yeah.
Immediately asked the fans to hate him again after he came back. Such a fumble.
That's awful.
Yeah, I know.
You got a money opportunity there.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I was not a fan of him.
Yeah.
Like you can't turn down those kinds of opportunities when you got
I mean, it's as old as the hills in
Yeah.
wrestling, like in the Eddie Gilbert episode this season, you'll see how they turn his neck injury into an angle. It just seems like the natural thing anyone should do.
right.
And for whatever reason, they didn't just run with Buff as a top babyface after this happened is symptomatic of why WCW didn't last more than 2 years after the peak.
There you go.
So here he is talking about what it was like to be in that horrible circumstance after that 1998 injury.
All right, here we go.
Oh, I'm thinking it's over. It's done. My career's completely over. There's no way. I mean, I was just paralyzed, and I mean, out there, I knew it was over. And then even after I was fixed, I thought it was over. I mean, how am I going to come back from this? So I had 3 doctor's appointments. I had 3 doctor's appointments set up to find out, and the first 2 said it was over, and the 3rd doctor said it's over, but don't take a shower again. Don't ever drive a car again. Don't walk across the street again. I go, wait a minute, what are you talking about? She goes, I'm saying that you might as well quit life, because for something to happen to you again, the odds are astronomically against it. So you might as well quit living life if you're going to quit wrestling. And I said, that's the story I was looking for. So I kept
That's
wrestling.
what they're always looking for, that story.
Yeah.
Tell me,
It's funny. You hear so many of these injury stories, and all they're talking about is this doctor said no, this doctor said no, this doctor said no, but this doctor said yes.
We're gonna find the doctor that said yes.
Right. Exactly. They keep looking for that doctor.
They do, of course.
Yeah. That's part of it.
And I'm okay.
And then you did come back, and did you and Rick Steiner ever have words about this?
No, he came to the hospital and he was physically upset. He was emotional. He was crying at the hospital with me and said,
Crying.
Physically upset is like, what are you talking about? Was he like,
You pissed off? Yeah.
is he pissed off? Is he throwing shit? Is he like, it's hilarious to me. But anyway.
Oh my God. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
He's tearing the hospital apart.
Define physically upset.
Yeah. Right. Sorry.
Did you and Rick Steiner ever have words about this?
No, he came to the hospital and he was physically upset. He was emotional. He was crying at the hospital with me and said, man, I'm real sorry. I go, Rick, it was an accident. No big deal. It was an accident, obviously, and I know you didn't mean to do it, so don't worry about it. And but he was upset about it. And but what could have been a really good, strong, incredible angle.
Yeah.
They just blew it by having, the first time I came back was one match and it was over. So that angle could have been incredible, but instead they just had me lose. Who loses from coming back from being paralyzed? But
Damn.
I did, and they wanted to
That's a mistake.
Total mistake.
bulldog again. And I go, guys, I'm never doing that again ever.
They ask him to take the same move that paralyzed him.
What are you guys trying to do?
What's the problem? Right.
No, just think that.
Well, we know. Last time you got paralyzed. This time you won't.
This time,
it'll be
I mean,
fine.
the doctor said, it's a 1 in a million chance that you get injured again. Can we please get him injured again?
Do it again.
That
Exactly.
is,
Get him
right.
injured
I mean,
again.
what
Yeah,
other
right.
Get him injured
what
again.
other conclusion could you come to?
Don't sell it, Buff. Yeah. All right, here, let me back that up. Here we go.
Hit me with the bulldog again. And I go, guys, I'm never doing that again ever. So I faced Rick and took the bulldog for the 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
He
Yeah.
did. Unbelievable.
Because of course the bulldog comes behind the head, and that's what caused the injury. Is he went down into Rick's body after Rick sailed over him.
Yeah, the
This time-
footage is grisly.
He turned and faced him to take it. Here in clip 7, here's the thing about being hooked on drugs in the wrestling business. You got to be straight for TV.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You got to be straight for when you know you're going to confront management.
Yep.
You got to be
You
straight.
can't be Kerry Von Erich doing a sunset flip on yourself.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. On shows that aren't televised. And so what happens when WCW closes and you don't have that self-regulating force in your life that says, okay, I can stay loaded, but on Monday nights, I got to make sure that I control it. And all of a sudden, because WCW closes in 2001, as Buff told Dark Side Cameras, there's no leash anymore. And this is where it gets sad for a lot of really big stars in the Attitude Era, late 90s boom. When that goes away and they don't have a place in the business, WCW disappears. Half the jobs in the wrestling industry are no longer there.
Yep.
And they're hooked on shit.
Oh, yes.
And Buff gives us a little glimpse. Here's clip 7, where he talks about how the downward spiral really starts to begin. Of course, he would be no stranger to painkillers dealing with a neck injury.
Oh, yeah.
Let alone the regular rigors of the ring.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I believe with the drug use, when WCW was there, even though it was getting bad, that's a good leash to have, is how I explain it. That leash is money. That leash is, is having security, job security. It's a great leash to have, but all of a sudden that leash is gone, and you don't gotta really be sober for Eric Bischoff calling. You ain't gotta be sober for the plane ride to the Nitro. You ain't gotta be sober for TV no more. So that leash that I didn't think would be bad to be gone was horrible to be gone. It gave I'd have no accountability no more, none. So what was already getting really bad, it got real bad. So the drug use I had nobody to answer to no more. And I was depressed now. Now I'm truly depressed, and now it just really hammers in with pills and alcohol.
Damn.
Yeah,
I
'cause
do like
Buff,
that shirt he's wearing. It's a nice shirt.
an interesting thing to notice. As the episode gets into, Buff not only found himself, odd man out when WCW closed, but he tried to get into WWF, and he had a disastrous experience.
Well, just before we get into that, you know, just in hearing him talk about this, it reminds me just like his interview throughout his entire interview. He's so forthcoming and honest about looking back at himself. Maybe one of the more honest, you know, interviews about the, you know, oneself that I can recall in recent memory on the show. Yeah. I think that's part of the process of him getting sober, getting clean, and confronting all that stuff and going through, you know, everything he's gone through. Because there's so many stories he tells in the episode where you're almost like, whoa, like, why are you telling this? You don't need to be telling that story.
We didn't even ask about it.
We didn't ask about it, but you're like just so honest and open, and it makes obviously for great television. But it's something that I do appreciate about him is that he was just so open in terms of, you know, looking back at his drug use. There's no shame. And, you know, if his story can help inspire someone or.
That's amazing. You know, that takes a lot of like self-work and self-reflection to be able to be that honest with yourself and to be able to feel comfortable sharing that kind of stuff. It's amazing. Good for him.
And the wild stuff about his, you know, his upbringing, which is all over the episode as we've mentioned here. So anyway,
he's, you know, he speaks about his struggles as someone who has been through recovery, which he has been, as so many wrestlers have been. And, you know, it's always a struggle that never ends. You know, there are so many wrestlers that we've wanted to tip the cap to for getting over this, and then something happens and they relapse. And
well, I mean, that's the idea. You're never cured. It's not something, you know, it's you're always, the disease is always there. And you just kind of have to remember that you're always.
It's always a work. It's always a work in progress.
Right. You're never like not an addict.
Right. Exactly.
You know, that's the
key thing.
Key. And also like as a person, you know, you need to kind of identify with that. I understand that.
Absolutely.
It's hard.
Totally.
It's hard shit.
Yeah, no shit.
So clip 8 here is going to take us into, I guess you could say how low it went. You know, there's always the rock bottom story. I don't think this is necessarily.
He took a rock bottom?
No, he never got. They never gave him the chance.
Sorry, that's my bad.
Part of why he was so depressed there was his WWF opportunity just went up in smoke. In part because, you know, he rubbed the locker room the wrong way, just like he did when he started at WCW. You know, I think a lot of other folks would say, you know, Buff wasn't necessarily just the recipient of unwarranted, you know, tension in the back.
Well, it feels like he kind of had to start over again
very much
when he got into the WWF. Because again, I think all of the, you know, the baggage, the Buff baggage that he had from WCW of sort of being, you know, this how people perceived him, the same way we perceived him on TV. You know, as this like, get this fucking guy out of here kind of vibe. I think and that sort of carried over into WWF where he had to kind of prove himself once again. And, but this time, substance abuse, you know, other things that he was going through. The fact his
mother would like place business calls for him.
Which we didn't really get into in the episode, which I'm a little remiss about because I think that was a key part of his downfall there as well.
Patterson.
Yeah.
Who's this Judy Bagwell?
Calling the office. Exactly.
Jim Ross, I think.
You're going to get mocked relentlessly for that. You know, there's no way to recover from that.
His mother would harass Jim Ross about, you know, booking him in a certain way. So anyway, I think it just wasn't, those things weren't stacking up well for him there. And, you know, of course, there's the infamous Shane Helms story as well, too, which, you know, Shane has his own version, to be clear, of that story that would have been great to put in the episode because I know he was not so happy with Buff's account of this, and I think that's still, they don't see eye to eye on that one. But anyway, I digress.
No, it's all important to set up why he was in such dire straits. I mean, he'd basically been shut out of the wrestling business. I mean, there were still, you know, onesies and twosies here and there, some groups that were trying to get off the ground that would send Buff a paycheck. But for the most part, he's got to find a new way to make it. And suddenly you're reading TMZ and Buff is getting offers to do porn.
Wow.
And Buff is a gigolo. There are websites,
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
How well do you remember?
Not, I just remember the gigolo thing. Yeah. I don't know.
Cowboys for Angels.
Thinking of Jimmy Del Rey.
The name of the website was Cowboys for Angels.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and that is a big part of the episode of him sort of, you know, the post-wrestling life of, you know, becoming the Deuce Bigalow, American gigolo. You know?
Like we always talk about, particularly on other Unheards, it's like these people disappear from the national spotlight. The business changes in a way that boxes them out, and you're like, whatever happened to this? And then the next thing you hear, they're you know, going to the emergency room for a calf implant, or they're you know, they're selling their bodies, and
it's very tragic in the episode too, because not only is it like, you know, putting himself in that position, you know, to put food on the table, so to speak.
Yeah.
But it's something that his current wife is going to have to be okay with.
Yes.
Oh God.
Him doing softcore porn. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, him doing softcore porn, but then also being a gigolo. But go ahead.
Gigolo.
I mean, that's,
Yeah.
That's even worse. I mean,
That's true.
That's got to be worse on a
Yeah.
loved one.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
Jesus.
and he
Unless
offered.
she's into that. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
No,
want to
no,
judge. I don't want to say for sure, but he offered a nugget here. This is clip 8.
Okay.
Where
nuggets,
the,
what you're telling me.
Until I know you know what's about to come.
Chicken sandwiches, chicken
I know
nuggets.
that he's about to come. Apparently.
Oh,
Come on.
We all know. I think it's Vivid Videos, right? Yeah, that
Yes.
was a big porn
Sure.
production company in the 2000s. I know nothing about it, of course, but he offers what opportunities were on the table. I think the public only knew that Vivid was interested in making tapes with him.
Yes.
I don't think they knew who they wanted to pair him with.
Right.
Ooh.
in
Scene
these
partner.
videos.
Scene partner. All right, here we go. Let's take a look.
At one point, was Vivid Video trying to recruit you to be a porn star?
Yes. We met with him. It was
We.
His team. His team.
His team.
Yeah.
Judy.
Judy.
His
His management team.
Of course.
PR team.
Judy.
Agent.
Right, here we go.
and Joni Lawler. It was going to be the movie.
So that's just so everybody's clear. He's referring to China.
Get ready.
Is it Joni?
Get ready.
Somebody said Joni Lawler, by the way.
Yeah.
The movie was going to be called Buff Comes to China.
Take a second. Everyone take a second. Acknowledge the reality.
Yep.
Acknowledge what he's telling us
Yes.
about what almost happened.
Oh, if
Totally
we believe
fine.
it. But yeah.
Totally fine.
Yeah,
I
if
have no
we believe
problem
it,
If
sure.
we believe it.
I have no problem with
JP, I ask you right here on Unheard, would you have bought the DVD?
Oh,
No, I wouldn't have bought it, but I would have searched for it on the internet.
oh God.
You tell
no
me the
question.
difference. Okay, continue.
Well, I
right.
didn't pay for it.
All right, I'm going to back it up again. Here we go.
Me and Joni Lawler. It was going to be the movie was going to be called Buff Comes to China or something like that. I don't know.
You can hear
Stu in the back there. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, right. Oh, God. A little too honest.
He's
pal.
he's really happy about that title.
Yeah,
too.
I know,
Look
I
at
know.
that face. He's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
look like somebody who was mad to get the offer.
He was like, he's actually kind of bummed it didn't pan out.
Rest in peace, by the way.
Yeah, seriously.
She would end up doing
Yes,
quite a
she
few.
would.
She did, yeah.
Sounds crazy, but I met with the owner of across the desk. I can't remember what his name was.
Steve Hirsch?
Steve Hirsch.
Oh, Stu got exposed.
whoa,
Stu got
brothers.
exposed. He knows way too much about
Whoa.
it. He knows the name of the guy.
Whoa, we just
Stu.
totally blew Steve.
Stu.
Stu's Steve
Come on,
spot.
pal.
Spot. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Come on, pal. What's going on there, brother?
Oh, not to blow up Stu's spot, but Stu also might have been approached about being in a
Is
Vivid
that
video
right?
once or twice. I mean,
I was going to say, it seems like Vivid does blow Stu's pot sometimes. but-
oh, Jesus. Well, Stu is a child actor.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you knew this.
No,
I
no,
didn't
no,
know
no.
that.
No, he's in. Stu is the voice of Ralphie in the Magic School Bus.
Oh, cool.
No kidding.
He's in a lot of the kid voices in the X-Men, the animated series.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He definitely got an offer
You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah.
from Vivid.
He's in Donnie Darko. He's like kind of the kind of bully kid and
Oh, wow.
yeah. So
Oh, wow.
and now he's here.
It's a lot of indie cred.
That's,
Donnie Darko.
Coming soon under the Cinemat, by
That's
the way.
right.
So
There you go.
We'll have to get Stu
You should
on.
get
Have to
Stu
talk
on.
About, talk,
You
have to
should,
talk to Stu
Brandon.
about
You
that.
should. But anyway, so it's not a shock that Stu knows the president of Vivid Entertainment. So here we go. Let's also hear that again too.
Yeah, I don't think that would
I
hurt.
don't know. Sounds crazy, but I met with the owner of across the desk. I can't remember what his name was. Steve Hirsch. And it was $300,000.
How do you know that?
And this was like Hogan's sex tape just had came out.
Remember that?
And
Oh,
my manager at the
remember
time, his
that.
name was Kevin Ballou, and Kevin said, he goes, man, you can't do this. The sex tape is going to run your career. And the guy,
Well,
Steve,
hold on. It's not a sex tape, though. It's a porn film. There's a
yeah.
big difference.
Big
Well, maybe they wanted to frame it up as like a fake leaked. I'm just guessing here, but yeah, that was kind of the thing is you wanted to create like a sense
is
that shouldn't be
crazy.
out there.
This
Yeah.
is
like
crazy.
was the Waltman one like that with China?
I kind of feel like it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, there was like this pretense that they didn't want it out, but that was part
Which
of
is-
the gimmick to make it
I
more
did
appealing.
see that one. I was just
Oh, see, I knew there was something there.
vile. This is vile.
Oh God, I feel bad.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
goes, what do you mean? Hulk Hogan just had a sex tape. He goes, you tell me one sex tape that hurt anybody. And I went, Kim Kardashian didn't hurt. Hulk Hogan didn't hurt, so maybe he's right here.
Well, Hulk kind of hurt.
Yeah, it did.
Stu knows everything about it.
I know. Hulk kind of hurt. Yeah.
Not in the long run, though. The long run actually benefited him more than anything.
It sure did. Yeah. Leg drop Gawker.
Yeah,
That's $100 million worth.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn right.
All right, here we go.
But didn't kill it. No. So, and here's $300,000 in front of me, and I'm like, you know, I don't know, man. So we didn't do it, but you know, looking at it, maybe that'd been a whole nother train. So I'm glad we didn't do that route.
I think we're all lucky that didn't happen.
Yeah, I think we are too.
Can you imagine?
Oh my God.
Buff and his stuff.
What could have been? Yeah, that would have been another one. You
That could have
done.
been, yeah. Buff sprays his stuff or whatever.
Oh my. Okay.
That could have worked. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wish I could have unheard that.
So, yeah, it was a tough road, but you know, it's nice to see Buff kind of with it in these clips, and
I mean, all things considered, he looks great too.
Yeah.
Like he looks,
Absolutely.
I mean, how long has he been sober?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I think by the time of this interview, it maybe a year and a half. I mean, he'd worked with DDP.
Yeah. Okay.
On
So
getting
you
on the
felt
straight and
good
narrow.
coming in that he would show
Yeah.
up ready to go. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, he was great, and collaborating with him was great. And again, so open.
Yeah.
Nothing was off the table.
That would have never, if he didn't volunteer that China thing.
No.
No one would have asked about it.
Exactly.
Right.
Nobody knew
Right.
about it.
Right.
And it also is a sign about him too, is that all of his ex-wives in the episode are still so fond of him. You know,
Oh, wow.
Even though they've been through hell and
Yep.
back
Yep.
in many instances, they all have a soft spot for him. And you know, not all wrestlers are down for their ex-wives being in their episodes.
Yeah.
You know, and
I imagine.
and for
Let
him,
alone
it's like,
encourage it.
yeah, it's like exactly. And for this, it's like, no, we got to tell the real story. So, you know, I do applaud, you know, him for being, you know, so open, but maybe it's a little too open, bro, sometimes.
At times.
You know.
Well, we'll wrap here as it
Yeah.
regards Buff. We've talked a lot about Judy, built her up. WCW fans always, you know, wondered about her. And in the episode, he talks about losing Judy Bagwell, who passed away after a battle with dementia in November of 2021. That one hit harder than people expected. I think, oh, yeah, I remember Judy Bagwell all of a sudden is gone. And here Buff talks to you guys about some of those final days in, I suppose, the nursing home bed or the rehab bed, wherever the case may be, the hospice.
Yeah, it was during COVID, I think.
It was.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what I'm talking
2021,
about.
that's COVID, yeah.
Yeah.
And how that huge piece of who Marcus Bagwell was, dating back from bullets in the pool to long johns under his jeans. How
Chicken sandwiches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How he said goodbye to the mighty Judy Bagwell, former WCW Tag Team Champion. And how he was able to, you know, feel pretty good about the journey he'd been on at that point.
Oh man. Okay, here we go.
She was suffering for a while, man. She had got dementia, and just was but horribly bad. I saw the most powerful woman in the world really going down in flames, bro. I mean, like bad, and just she would call my father mother. God, it just ripped my heart out to hear her say it. Just somebody that was so strong to call my father her mother and not know the difference. It just blew my mind. And we took it upon the Bagwell name to not lie to her. We asked her, we said, do you want us to lie to you? And she goes, no. So when she would say that, I'd say, mother, that's not your mother. Your mother is dead. And she would just bawl. So that didn't work. So we couldn't tell her the truth anymore. And so we became a bunch of liars. And a bunch of liars isn't what Bagwells do. We just don't do that. We just don't. But that's what we become, and I hated it. But if we didn't lie to her, she was devastated. But dementia, and then she got COVID at the very end there. It's crazy. It was a horrible disease, man. Dementia is the most horrible disease there is to me.
And then COVID took her, is what the final straw was?
Yep. It was only a few days of the COVID, but actually, last time I saw her was the day before she passed, and they let her get some facial hairs on her chin that were long. And God, I was mad about it. I looked at the nurse, I said, why would you let hairs grow out of a woman's chin? And she goes, well, she wouldn't let us mess with her face. I go, would you want those hairs on your chin? And of course they said no, so I said, give me some shaving cream. So I shaved my mother I mean, it wasn't a beard, but I just wanted to shave those little hairs off, you know? And I'll never forget, when I shaved her face, she didn't do anything the whole time, and then she finally went like this. She went. She felt her face, and I went. She at least responded, you know, like, thank you, you know? So I really liked that. That's the last memory I have of my mom. When I shaved her face, and she showed me that I'd done a good job, I feel.
I mean, it's hard to not, as serious and as tragic as that story is, you know, it's hard to not make the joke that, you know, he returned the favor, you know, because
she shaved him.
She shaved him in the
ways
episode.
that the episode make very clear.
You might have to see that. But,
I mean, that's actually an incredibly touching story. Honestly, that.
And that Judy Bagwell was someone that meant something to wrestling fans too. I'm not
totally.
I'm not saying they were Judy Bagwell fans, but it's not like
Right.
it was just Buff's mother that no one had seen. She was on TV for months, a year.
Right.
You know,
the nostalgia factor right there. It's like, oh
Yes,
yeah, I remember
yes.
watching that. You know, you don't have to like it, but
no,
you can remember it.
It's not that, like, you know, it wasn't good wrestling, quote unquote. But going back and watching it for this episode and putting it together and putting the Judy Bagwell highlights together, some damn entertaining shit, you know? Like, it was. Like, you know, obviously, like, is it good? Is it, you know, whatever?
Is it counterproductive? That's
is
not
it
the question.
But seeing her in
That's
that
taste.
element.
That's taste. That's not about, you know, that's
totally
anyone's taste. Doesn't matter. But like the idea is that it was, like you were saying, it's entertaining.
No, it was. And like seeing her in that element and knowing it was his mom and knowing how overboard she's going with all this, it is funny to see, you know? So.
And in the end, it still was about the appearance there, right?
Yes.
Tidy up that appearance.
That's
Yeah,
right.
totally.
I mean, he looks like a guy who like owns a mechanic shop now. You know, he used to be the mechanic of it, but then he owns it, and so he can dress up and whatever. He's got that kind of look to him.
Styled
like,
in.
Yeah.
Onward, we hope, for Buff Bagwell.
Yes.
And that will do it for this week's episode of Unheard. Reminder to join us Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Vice TV when Season 6 of Dark Side of the Ring resumes. We take a look at superstar Billy Graham. And do be sure to join us next time on Unheard when we get into the genius of Lanny Poffo.
Ooh.
We'll see you then.